HarperCollins presents Can Feminism Be African? A Most Paradoxical Question. Written and read by Minna Salami. Prologue: The Glitch. Africa is a European invention. Wole Soyinka. A writer's heart, a poet's heart, an artist's heart, a musician's heart is always breaking. It is through that broken window that we see the world, more mysterious, beloved, insane, and precious for the sparkling and jagged edges of the smaller enclosure we have escaped. Alice Walker. Perhaps the most important thing to say about feminism in relation to Africa is that if taken to its fullest purpose, feminism shakes up the already unstable identity of being African. If referring to African identity as unstable seems objectionable, then that is only further proof that it isn't a stable identity in the first place, for what is firm is not threatened by what is breakable, and what is true cannot be proven untrue by false claims. Africans are often unwilling and unable to speak about the precarious nature of African identity because there are great psychological risks involved. Imperialism and colonialism not only exploited African soil, but also troubled the collective African psyche. The word Africa has become a verbal altar that addresses these wounds, a shrine of pride and meaning, as well as a site of sorrow and shame. Europe colonized the continent in brutal and unjustifiable ways, and still today, Africa is sucked dry of its riches by greedy elites. The colonists' best weapon was never military but mental, sieging lands and increasing hegemonic power by destabilizing the spirit of self-inquiry. Africans understood that the deeper target of the attack was the mind, and retaliated with a fitting mode of defense, not a military apparatus, but rather an army of sages, griots, revolutionaries, artists, storytellers, mystics, and sangomas, who could counter the forces of harm with mythologies of self-regard. The problem, however, is that mythology can either give you wings or it can keep you stuck, solidifying like cool wax into a specific shape. We of our current time face the task of differentiating which myths make us fly and which myths keep us stuck. A sign that a myth holds us back is its claim to unquestionable truth. There is no true Africa. Anyone who sets about finding a true Africa will eventually realize that Africa is a fiction or a European invention, as Wole Soyinka says in this chapter's epigraph. Moreover, Africa is a fiction built, paradoxically, precisely upon the shaky foundation that there is a truth about Africa, and that one of the defining qualities of Africanness is to find this truth. This premise is not only false, but also circular. For if we believe that there are fundamental truths about Africa, we will try to identify those things, solidifying the idea once again that there are absolute truths about Africa. When this circular reasoning comes to characterize Africanness, it locks us into a mental struggle where the alleged truth and reality are called into battle. This internal conflict produces a defensive posture, presenting African truths as solid and fixed. From the solid Africa emerges a kind of self-inflicted othering that carelessly assumes ownership of qualities that are poisonous to the well-being of Africans collectively, while dismissing others that might be nourishing. However, the contradictions that shape the foundational frameworks of African identity also present a glitch. It is true, for example, that Africans possess virtuous qualities such as magnanimity and big-heartedness as one of these.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?